Hey there, it's David Cinelli here, Realtor with Royal LePage Signature. Today is one of two tips how to keep mowing your grass and make it a little less labor intensive for you. Some of these things might sound a little counterproductive, but I'll explain why it makes it easier on you. And before we get into cutting any of the grass or any of these tips, one thing I always encourage, and if you look back from some of my home tips, I believe it was last year, you're supposed to sharpen your mower blade at least once a year. If you find your grass isn't getting that nice clean cut, it's getting a little mulchy and stuff too, you're going to want to sharpen your blade or replace it. It promotes better healthy growing for your grass. Anyway, so here's today's tip. And it might sound counterproductive because you're saying, oh, it should be easier to maintain your lawn. So what I'm going to tell you to do is you want to cut your grass at least once a week, sometimes more frequent, depending on the area you live in. You're like, I thought it's supposed to be easier, Dave. I'll explain. You don't want the grass to get too tall, and that's why you want to cut it. And it's when you're only cutting a short amount of grass, you're supposed to cut less than 1/3 of the blade. Then it does get easier. Think about it. If you're cutting half the grass, it's like there's a lot more of clippings on the ground, and it just gets harder for that mower to push. So yeah, try to cut your grass at least once a week. It depends on the area and the amount of shade and water, etc., that your grass is getting. The other thing you're going to want to do is when you're cutting the grass, you're going to know how to cut the grass, because the optimal length of each blade should be between 2.5 to 3 inches. At that length, it promotes healthier growth of your grass, prevents insects from living in the grass, also prevents weeds. And the last thing it does when you keep the blades of grass between 2 and 3 inches, the moisture in your grass and your lawn, your soil stays much more moist. Think about it. How many times have you seen those grass where the guy cuts it really, really low, or the person cuts it really, really low? The sun comes in and it burns the grass out. That's because there's no shade for the soil, and it totally dries out the moisture in the soil. So don't do that. So I hope you enjoyed this tip, and let's look forward to what I have for next week for cutting your lawn to make it a little bit easier on you. Okay.